Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Portland Public Schools podcast. With me in the studio at our Town Tech Educational Partnership studio is Dr. Charles Britton, and he's going to give us the update on where we are. I believe you just started the second semester. So good morning, Charles. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, no worries, no worries. So what's happening in the district where you've just embarked on the second semester, and where we are? I think we're full back. So give us the update.
Yeah. So it's been an interesting year for sure. We started the year in hybrid. We went to full. We got beat up pretty good when we went to full, when the numbers spiked up in the state, and a lot of quarantining and contact tracing. And, the big challenge we faced, of course, was staffing our buildings. We had to hit pause and go remote, and that provided me some time to take advantage of the governor's waiver of the requirement that substitute teachers hold a bachelor's degree, and appeal to the community to step up, and was remarkably impressed with the community spirit and parents and college students coming forward and now are on deck helping us staff our buildings. So we came back hybrid, and now we're back full. K through 12, where all of our students are in, except for our students who have chosen to learn remotely exclusively, and things are going well. The good news now is it looks like we're over the top of that curve and on the downside of it. And the one thing I've learned from this is our ability to stay open is directly connected to the amount of virus in the community. And now that the numbers are going down, we're seeing less of community spread that's coming into the schools. Over the past 2 weeks, I'm aware of 3 instances where students, faculty, or staff tested positive, and we needed to do contact tracing. But that number is relatively small compared to what we were absorbing in November, when the numbers were higher. So community spread and school operations are directly connected. And now that the numbers are going down, we're up and going, and it's full steam ahead. That said, I have to continue to appeal to our community, keep doing the right thing. And by that I mean, limit your exposure in the community, keep those masks on, maintain your social distancing, stay home if you're sick, all of those things that we're tired of now. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
But those things work, and it's clear that the science is accurate. Those things work, and if we keep doing them, we're likely to continue to stay open, and that's what I'm committed to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I saw this week too from the CDC. They've kind of upgraded their mask addendum. Now they're saying double masking is a better thing to do as far as in relation to putting a surgical mask in, and then first, and then using a cloth mask over that, which is supposedly supposed to limit the spread of to 95%. So again, that's another revision, again, of one of many that came from CDC. So whether that's going to help, and I think most of our students here are masking anyway. So
clearly, I think what you're seeing is people understanding the rules and following them and wearing masks. We're starting to see vaccinations happening, and I think that holidays are over, and it was a snowy, lousy day, and maybe that kept people home for the Super Bowl. And I think that we're understanding what we need to do.
Sure.
And we ran the vaccination clinic here for 75 and older, and it's now open to 65, and we're all waiting anxiously for our turn when educators are able, and hopefully the supplies pick up. But we're in a little bit of a race, of course, against new variants and upticks, but we just got to hold steady and understand that the end is in sight. It's not going to be immediate, but let's just keep doing the right thing, and we're gonna soldier through this.
Sure, absolutely. I know the the next clinic up here is on the 20th, and that basically is the 65
Second, yeah.
is the 65 and older. I think, yeah, and
Well, the 20th, I think, is the second round
Correct.
of vaccines for the people who 2 weeks ago
correct.
got their shots.
And now on Susan's podcast last week, in fact, we had Russ and Mary Pont on. They did on that Friday. They did a clinic at the senior center and so forth, and that was basically just for Portland residents. And apparently that went very well. They had over just south of 100 that got vaccinated down there, and they're going to be planning another one. So now that the next group is now being okayed, or 65 and the 65-year-old group and so forth. So that's a good thing. So what happens there is, again, the more vaccinations we can get in the arms, the better off we're going to be.
All right.
And so and now, from our standpoint, I know we just have a bill now that's in the legislature for being involved with the water departments now, of critical employees on water sector employees now, I think are going to be opened up as far as that goes. So we'll see what happens there. That's going up to legislation now. So the other thing that I think that you're dealing with now, obviously, is we're embarking on the budget process. So tell us what's happening there.
Yeah, sure. It's actually kind of refreshing to not talk about COVID, right? I mean, normal life is happening, right? And, obviously we're getting beat up a little with the weather now, and a lot of snow out there. I'm looking behind you out the studio window here, and it's piled up pretty high. But, the season suggests that it's time for us to, identify what we're going to need to keep running the buildings, and how much of that comes from property taxes and the state. All of these pictures are starting to come together, and we do have a Board of Education adopted budget. The way I would characterize the requests this year is it's largely a status quo budget, right? That we've made some really nice investments in faculty and staff and support services, and now it's time to largely continue those. So I would characterize overall the budget as a status quo budget, keep us on the path we're on, with two sort of exceptions. There are two unique things in that budget that I really want to press hard on and explain. The first one is we're proposing a leasing program for our Chromebooks, right? So the district, it's wonderful. It provides every student, this year, every student, in a normal year, every student in grade 5 through 12 with a personal device. We're a one-to-one device district. Those devices were all purchased, large numbers of them were purchased 4 years ago and are coming out of warranty. And, as we know about technology, the older it gets, the less likely it is to work well. So we need to upgrade those and replace those devices that have aged out. And the least expensive and way to do that and create a pool of devices for our students is to lease. So I'm bringing forward a request to lease our Chromebooks as opposed to wait for them to run out of warranty and then throw out and buy new, a leasing option. And there's a lot of conversation about that, and pros and cons of leasing are the same pros and cons that you get when you lease a car, right? You don't
Absolutely, yep.
You don't build equity in it. When you're done with it, you have to give it back, that kind of thing. But it's I believe it's the best option and will give us what we need. And boy, I would say there's probably no aspect in any grade level of our curriculum instruction and assessment approaches that aren't tech dependent in some way.
Absolutely.
And then the second thing in the budget, we absolutely must have, it's long overdue at this point, and that's a new track for the high school. Yep. That's about a $500,000 expense. It's something we're going to need to do, frankly, this summer. It should have been done probably 2 or 3 summers ago.
Yes.
Putting a track into something you can't do in the winter. But we need it. Right now, we are unable to host track meets.
Sure.
You anybody who goes and walks on that track will know that it's in a deplorable condition, and it needs to be replaced.
Sure, it's a safety issue.
Yeah, it can't be patched anymore. It's got to be full rip, full foundation and topping of the track needs to happen.
Sure.
And so those are the two things in the budget that I see as new types of requests that we've got to have. And I've started the conversation with the Board of Education. They were unanimously approved, and now I'm engaging town council and first select woman and hoping I can make a compelling case for our ultimately our voters in town to support those two initiatives.
Well, I think too, as from a standpoint of from the budgetary process, the leasing of the computers, obviously technology is waits for no one. It moves quicker than we can keep up, and by moving to a rent to own or a leasing option, basically what happens is it takes it out of the capital expenditure and
Right.
puts it into the operating expenditure. And a lot of towns are doing that because as well as I do, when budgets get tight, what is the first thing that get
Correct.
cut? Okay, it's the capital budget. Okay, and you've experienced it. I've experienced it. Can you make it do one more year? Can you make it do one more year? But as you say, there comes a time when no, you can't. I'm dealing with it on my end from the technology side on a phone system. The phone system, especially here at the high school, is becoming it's out of date. Okay, and the thing is that when the manufacturer says it's end of life, it's end of life, and then what happens is that you try to repair it or fix it, and then you parts are not available, and so forth. So getting into that lease option is certainly a way of building it into the operating budget, and going forward, I think it's a more economical way.
Yeah, and I would also add to that by doing the lease and providing all students in 5 through 12 with the newer devices that are under warranty,
Yep.
and redeploying our existing devices K through 5, every student will have a reliable, stable, upgraded, up-to-date Chromebook. And what does that mean? Here's the exciting thing. Learning doesn't have to stop when students get on the bus and leave.
Right.
We will offer summer learning programs. We will offer interventions and supports that can happen outside of the traditional school day. One thing we're learning from the pandemic is that bricks and mortar schools, are never going to go away because there's always that critical socializing importance. But bricks and mortar are not a necessity for learning.
Correct.
And by having every student equipped with a device and every faculty and staff equipped with a device, hey, year-round schooling, let's go.
Sure.
Evening schooling, let's go.
Yeah.
Lifelong learning every day, all the time, 24/7, 365. That's what I want to take away from this pandemic.
Well, and I think that is one of the valuable lessons that I think that gave us a rude awakening, so to speak, of and not only in academia but also in the corporate world. A lot of people working from home. You're seeing that a lot of these big corporate offices are saying, "Hey, we don't need to lease all this space. If our employees can work at home, it's going to save on their wear and tear. It's going to save us on leasing rental space and so forth." So, but the bottom line is everybody benefits, and statistically, I think they're seeing that productivity in some respects has increased. Okay, so which is a good thing.
Absolutely. And even on a practical level, I'll give you one small example. I was reflecting on this the other day with my leadership team. If a student, I'll just make this up randomly, at Gildersleeve, needs some extra help in the form of maybe some reading intervention, some reading programming, or math intervention, it seems kind of counterintuitive now that sometimes we'll take the student out of the class and provide them the intervention during the school day at a time when maybe it's convenient for the reading interventionist.
Right.
The new world would suggest, why wouldn't you provide that reading intervention maybe in the afternoon or evening
Sure.
We don't have to take the student out of the class to do it. You know, I'm sure that lots of people hearing that, especially if they're maybe a teacher, going, "Oh my God, that would be outside of my contractual day," or you know, not in the schedule, right?
Right.
Well, let's think bigger now. We know we can do this. We've done remote well. Why wouldn't we create personalized experiences for the students and start to break down maybe some of those contractual based, schedule based, bricks and mortar based norms that we're used to?
Yep.
And there's a lot of conversation that goes with how we do that.
Yep.
But by equipping students with the technology and the skills, and teachers with the technology and skills, at minimum, it opens the doors to those discussions.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think rightfully so. I think it just thinking outside the box. I think it broadens the whole perspective of again, offering, learning to the student. That perhaps maybe shortchanged during the daytime or it won't schedule. So whatever.
Yep.
That'd work. So, that's awesome. Figuring that out. I know we've been lucky so far, and we got hit the last week or so with snow days. So I think, can you just break down the snow day policy that you guys? Because what constitutes remote learning, what constitutes closed, what constitutes
Sure. Yeah. That part of what we are able to do this year because of this, apropos of this discussion we just had about our ability to do things online remotely, is we were given the option of, if we have a snow day, let it be a remote day, count it as a school day, and then not make it up in June, right? We had that discussion, and clearly we are able to do that. But there's also a real value in the cultural experience of a snow day.
a snow day.
Right. Yeah, right. I mean, I remember actually having to listen to WELI on the radio. And,
Okay.
be North Brantford, Northford, and waiting anxiously for North Haven, my district, to be called. And now we get it 5 different ways in texts and voicemails. But there's something to be said for, hey, it's a snow day, have a snow day, right?
Yeah.
So we balanced it. We said, look, the first 3 will be snow days. And then after the 3rd, we'll have it be a remote learning day, so that we're not going to school until the end of June. Because, our buildings are a little older, and I do want to come back and talk to you about that too, and probably not today. Let's talk about
Sure.
some of the plans we have for, looking at our facilities. But our buildings are old, and it gets hot in June, and, we don't want to be here till June 30th,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So the first 3 are snow days this year, and now that we're past the 3rd, any weather-related closure will be a remote learning day. And for that, I can guarantee you the last day of school, graduation, June 16th.
There we go.
That's the day.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that. People can plan their vacations, plan their hopefully in-person graduation celebrations, to be determined. But that's the direction we're going to go for the rest of this year. If we have any more, and it's likely we will if I'm looking at the weather, snow days, they'll be remote learning days.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I'm sure in your superintendent's meetings and so forth, I know other districts have different. I think Glastonbury, the way they've, I think, adopted is basically every other day or every other snowstorm is a remote learning day or a snow day.
Yep.
And so forth. So I'm sure that discussion has made the rounds in your circles as far as that goes on what are you doing and what are you doing?
Connecticut is such a fascinating place. There are 169 towns in Connecticut and 169 ways to do things.
There you go.
The stone walls and steady habits and importance of local control. So
Yeah.
Everybody's doing it a little different.
Okay.
I would say that probably a good 45% of the districts have decided the way we have here, which is the first 3 snow days, then remote days.
Yep.
But some are doing all remote, some are doing all snow. It's
Yeah.
take your pick.
Yeah, that's a carte blanche. It's like a Chinese menu.
Yeah, it's just fascinating. That is such a cultural phenomenon in Connecticut. Lots of states have county-based or more centralized school districts and ways to do things. And hey, we're Yankees, and we like our local control, and we all make our decisions in-house.
There you go. There you go. I know you mentioned WELI. When I was growing up, it was WTIC in Hartford.
Sure,
You had, the old on the hour, the
Yeah.
and then you remember, and then there was Bob Steele on. My parents listened to Bob Steele every morning faithfully. Started at 6:00 in the morning.
Absolutely.
And again, listening for him to read off all of the closures and so forth, and how his technology has changed.
Yeah, and now it comes to you in text and voicemail and every media outlet in real time.
Yeah.
So, kids can just sleep in and not wait with bated breath by the radio. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So, also is there from your standpoint on making decisions, is that decision usually made at 4 a.m. or?
Look, if it's obvious, we're staring down a blizzard.
Yeah.
Or this is, I would always err on or prefer the night before, because it gives everybody a chance to get ready and go to sleep knowing what the next day looks like.
Yeah.
But there are it's Connecticut weather, right? I mean,
Wait 10 minutes, it'll change.
And the difference between 29 when it's going to be snow and 34 when it's going to be rain, you often don't know, and get the old weather rock out. Remember those?
Oh yes.
So, when we're unsure, then that's when it's likely going to be a 4:45, wake up and figure out what it's looking like out there. Call the Department of Public Works, call the crews, and get their input, and then make a decision at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. So that way, you can make plans and to go from there.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day when I was growing up, you used to have the 8-ball and you asked it a question and you turned it over.
Unsure.
Unsure, likely, or,
right.
whatever. Yes, that's awesome. So, all right. Well, great, Charles. I think I think we'll pretty much sum it up.
I would just say, but next time you come back, maybe let's have a discussion about the direction of the district, grade level configurations, facilities.
Sure.
We got a lot of needs in Portland with some aging buildings.
Yes.
And I want to, we've started a discussion with a facilities analysis, a committee that's working on this. And, this is part of a 3 to 5 year plan, but I'd love the opportunity to start the discussion with the community.
Sure. I know on last week's podcast, I think Susan, previewed with the big solar projects that's going to happen at the Biz.
Yeah.
So, things like that, we can keep moving forward. And again, with clean energy and, any way to save money and whatever, I think that has to be at the forefront, especially in these tight budget times.
For sure.
From there. So anyway, all right, Dr. Charles Britton, thank you for coming on. And I'm Dave Kuzminski, your host. We're live here in the Town Tech Educational Podcast Studio at Portland High School. And until next time, as I always close our Town of Portland podcast, please stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, and above all, wear your mask. See you soon. Thanks. This podcast was produced by the Town Tech Educational Partnership Program, which is a partnership between Portland High School and the Portland Town Hall. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or organization, check out towntech.org/podcast to learn more.